Well, good evening, everybody. Starting the stream off on time for a change, actually, a minute or two early. But your host, Flywheels, back in the saddle for the final affordable group break for the month of August and probably for the next couple of weeks while I take a little breather and also try to source some new product for us. But tonight on the uh, docket, we've got a retail box of 1996 Fleer baseball. Um, this is actually, I've had a box of this in my collection now for quite a while, waiting to be ripped. This is a set that I very, very much enjoyed back in the day. Um, this is about the time when a lot of my heavy collecting started to wane because this is when I started college and working full time, and college just didn't didn't lend itself to collecting, being able to do a lot of collecting or much else. This set has a soft spot in um, for me, and was looking for some product, ran across another box for a pretty good price, not an inflated price like I had normally seen. I was watching one on eBay, and geez, I want to say it was about 110 bucks, and was able to get one for cheaper than that. So I will be honest, I did kind of think that I would keep it for myself, but at the same time, I'm like, nah, I got it as it is. Needed something else for the group. So here we are. Again, this box, 36 packs. Um, forget. I forget how many packs or cards are in each pack. But because it is retail, there is a retail exclusive insert. We are going to be, let's see, 600. It's a 600 card set. The collection is the parallel, one in every pack. And then there's also an in. The Lumber Company is the retail exclusive. Those are, um, well, they all fall one in one. Says odds range 1 in 5 packs to 1 in 90 packs, but there are 12 Lumber Company. There are 10 checklists, which count as an insert. 5 postseason glory, 10 prospects, 10 smoke and heat, 10 golden memories, 15 rookie sensations, 10 tomorrow's legends, 10 road warriors, and 12 zone, which have a holographic foil. Those are the 1 in 90, but probably are one of the better looking in the set. Though I really like the Lumber Company. I think that they look pretty nice. So we will go ahead. You can kind of see there what one of the cards look like, but I appreciate everyone's participation. Knowing up front how many people were interested definitely helped. We didn't fill it out, but that's okay. This is one of those weeks that I was all right that we didn't sell it out, because this is a set, as I said, I will be building myself. Haven't really focused. Haven't really focused much on cards lately. I mean, I picked up some singles of my guys, but haven't really busted a box, made a binder. Haven't really done anything like that in a while. Evening, Jared. Evening, Rick. But I do look forward to sitting down and doing ripping my personal box at some point in the near future. We'll go ahead and get started. It is about 4 after 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Thursday tonight. All righty, guys. Well, good luck. Oh, yeah, I forgot about these Thanks a Million $1 million hit game cards. So I guess everybody will get one. All right, so the Tiffany parallel is right on top. And unlike their base cards, not only do these have a different foil, but you've got a UV coating making them glossy, and then you got the holographic foil for the logo and the name, position, and team at the bottom, and then you've still got the glossy on the back as well. So it's a subtle parallel, but it's a nice parallel. Then we get to our insert before we get to our base cards. This is the Road Warriors. It's a simple design, but I kind of dig it. And I got a nice Tony Gwynn, so that's a good way to start us off tonight. And now it brings us to the base cards. These have the gold foil on the front, and then it is a matte finish, which you can't feel that, of course, but these are perfect for autographs. I've never been one to do the TTM, the through the mail autographs, but or really even take cards to a game to get them signed. But I know a lot of people really do enjoy that, and these are the perfect cards for doing that. Plus, it's a very simple design. Sometimes less is more, in my opinion. Full bleed photos and a very simple design, which makes it one of my favorites. And then on the back, I like how you've got a logo that fades into the background of the team. And then you've got a little bio, another picture, team logo, and a good bit of stats. So if you're a numbers person and love the stats, you do have a good bit here on the back. So as you can see, our first card is Charlie Hayes for the Philadelphia Phillies. Another nice thing about these, you ain't got to worry about bricking. Maybe the insert or the Tiffany, but the base cards, you definitely don't have to worry about breaking. We got Mark Grudzielanek for the Expos, Dave Val for the Rangers. There's another Tony Gwynn for the Padres. Mark Johnson for the Pirates. Butch Husky for the Mets. Love that facial expression. Chad Fonville for the Dodgers. Dwayne Hosey for the Red Sox. And Vince Coleman for the Mariners. I appreciate that, Jared. Johnny with an H has entered the building. Victor says, I didn't like these back in the 90s. Now I do. Well, yeah, I mean, when we're kids, when we were younger, we liked the flashiness. We liked, crazy designs, bright colors. At least some of us did. But yeah, these, I think building the Tiffany set would be fun. But I'm not going to attempt to do that. But we got a Todd Zeile for the Cubs. Here's the Golden Memories insert. Not a lot to say about these. Well, we got Joey Bell, Albert Bell for the Indians. And then for our base, we got John Doherty, Tigers, Ray Durham, White Sox, Mark Sweeney, Cardinals, John Cangelosi, Astros, Ellis Burks for the Rockies, Frank Castillo for the Cubs, Domingo Cedeno for the Jays, Ismael Valdez for the Dodgers, and John Burkett for the Marlins. Stadium Club feel, yeah. The Tiffany's definitely. Tiffany is Joe Oliver for the Brewers. And postseason glory, the smallest insert set at 5. We have Oral Hershiser. He was the ALCS VP the year before. We have Mark Lewis for the Tigers, even though he's pictured in the Reds. Ron Karkovice, for the White Sox. Eddie Williams, Padres. Dean Hartgraves for the Astros. Quentin McCracken for the Rockies. Jose Hernandez for the Cubs. Pat Henkin for the Jays. Rick Wilkins for the Astros. And Terry Matthews for the Marlins. Johnny never hated the set, but never loved it. Not a fan of borderless sets of any kind. Bill Swift, Rockies, is the Tiffany. Hey, we got a lumber company, and it is Mr. Ken Griffey Jr. Nice. Yeah, this is probably my favorite insert of this set. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I went with the retail. And the gentleman who purchased the the Mariners this week, be very happy to see Griffey. So all right, we got Mike Bordick for the Athletics, Rick Kravita for the Orioles, Barry Bonds for the Giants, Alan Benez for the Cardinals, Ricky Bottalico for Philly, Yamil Benitez for the Expos, Roger Pavlik, Rangers, Willie Blair, Padres, Jason Christensen for the Pirates. Johnny says, Lumber Company is one of the best in every Fleer set. Prospect, Karim Garcia for the Dodgers. Yeah, this one never did much for me either. The green around the very up close shot. Yeah, not my favorite. All right, for the Braves, Mike Mordecai for the is the Tiffany. And hey, let me run this idea by you guys real quick. So I was thinking last night while I was watching the Braves get whooped, absolutely whooped by the Phillies. I was thinking pre-game they were talking about the history of the catcher position for the Braves and how the young Drake Baldwin is kind of filling that picking up where previous players have left off. Brian McCann, Javi Lopez, Travis d'Arnaud, where not only are they good defensively, but they can also, they got some pop to their bat and can help offensively as well. And it just got me thinking, I think it could be fun. So, like, if you're a team collector, instead of just like, I have my team, my Braves cards selected or sorted by year. But what if you sorted the collection, whether you put them in pages or if you just had them in penny sleeves or top loaders or whatever. But what if instead of doing by year, you did it by position? So like you could have like a run of first baseman for your team, catcher for your team, have your pitchers together. I don't know. I think that could be kind of fun as if you go back and revisit your collection, thumbing through or turning pages. If you just had your outfielders together, and then your position players and so on and so forth. I don't know. It's more work than I want to do, than I have time for. But it just got me thinking because, like Mike Mordecai, um, I don't remember a whole lot, but you know, if I see him lumped in with other players of his position, I don't know. Just a thought. All right, checklist is an insert in this set, which is kind of meh, but at least if we're going to get a checklist, let's get a big hurt. And there are 8 of them. Or 10 of them, excuse me. All righty, on to the base. We got Mike Jackson for the Reds. We got Manny Ramirez for the Indians. Jeff Nelson, Yankees. I think it's the first Yankee tonight. Mike Lansing for the Expos. Mike Kelly for the Braves. Luis Sojo for the Mariners. Steve Anaveros for the Athletics. Mike James for the Angels. Johnny says, I sort mine by player, so I theoretically could do that by moving some pages around. Victor says, that would look cool, but it would take a lot of reorganizing. Same here. Same for me. Only issue I could see is the player changes position during his tenure. Yeah, because as I was thinking about that last night, I was thinking about Chipper. He came up a third baseman. I mean, shortstop before they moved him to the corner. So, yeah, what do? Do you lump them all under one position, or do you have them moved around? Tiffany is James Mouton for the Astros. Pedro Martinez. In the past, they've used foil for this set. Not on this one, but it still does the job. It's not my favorite, but it's better than the prospect. But Pedro is part of the Expos. All right, we got Scott Kamienecki. I don't know, for the Yankees. David Hulse for the Brewers. John Flaherty for the Tigers. Ozzie Guillen, White Sox. Paul Wagner for the Pirates. Doug Drabeck for the Astros. Big Cat, Andres Galarraga for the Rockies. Kevin Foster for the Cubbies. And Carlos Delgado for the Jays. Oh, good point with Robin Yount. Shortstop and outfield. I'm sure there are many, many players that. Kamienecki, thank you. Hideo Nomo. The colors are they really pop. It's real vibrant. And the rookie sensation, the little holographic foil here on the end, Garrett Anderson for the Angels. We got Terrell Wade for the Braves. Jerome Walton for the Reds. JT Snow, Angels. Greg Vaughn for the Brewers. Bob Wickman for the Yankees. Jose Parra for the Twins. George Williams for the Athletics. William Van Landingham for the Giants, and Brian Hunter for the Astros. No, I think 95 was Nomo's year, rookie year. Went was that 13-6? 28 games with 13-6 his rookie year. For the Expos, we have David Segui as the Tiffany parallel. Postseason glory, we've got King Griffey Jr. Looks like the stamping of the holographic foil for the name and the logo is a little wonky, but it's still a Griffey. We got Dave Burba for the Reds. We have Pedro Borbon for the Braves. Juan Gonzalez, Texas Rangers. Scott Brocious for the Athletics. Jeff Manto for the Orioles. Jamie Brewington for the Giants. We have Scott Cooper for the Cardinals. Darren Dalton for Philly. And Sean Berry for the Expos. Julio Veras, Marlins, is the Tiffany. Tomorrow's Legends, Ryan Klesko. A very busy design, which I don't know. That seems more like out of 1995. Thomas Howard, Reds. David Justice for the Braves. Luis Ortiz for the Rangers. Stan Javier for the Athletics. Kyle Ripken, there's our poster boy for the box. Kurt Manwaring for the Giants. Ray Langford, Cardinals. Greg Jeffries for Philly. Gil Heredia, Expos. Hey, we got a Yankee, Andy Pettitte for the Tiffany. Victor's on the board. And he gets the insert. Prospect, Ruben Rivera. Lucky you. All right. Jose Oquendo for the Cardinals. We have Ramon Morel for the Pirates. Bruce Ruffin for the Rockies. Greg McMichael, Braves. Bill Pulsephere for the Mets. Mark Gubicza, Royals. Alan Embry, Indians. Damon Easley for the Angels. And Kevin Brown for the Orioles. Oh, nice. Jeff Bagwell is the Tiffany for the Astros. Got another Orel Hershiser postseason glory. Tyler Green for Philly. Cliff Floyd, Expos. Bob Tewksbury for the Rangers. Bryce Flory, Padres. Carlos Garcia for the Pirates. Todd Hundley for the Mets. Joey Eisen. Something like that for the Dodgers. Eric Hansen for the Red Sox. Norm Charlton for the Mariners. Jimmy Haynes is the Tiffany for the Orioles. And postseason glory goes to Randy Johnson of the Mariners. Gary Gaetti for KC. Carlos Baerga for the Indians. It's a good shot. Garrett Anderson, Angels. Harold Baines, Orioles. Tony Fernandez, Yankees. Jeff Cirillo, Brewers. Chad Curtis, Tigers. Jason Bear, White Sox. Mike Williams, Philly. Mike McFarland, Tiffany for Boston. Got a Golden Memories, Barry Bonds for San Fran. And a checklist for Matt Williams. Look at that. A little bonus. Got Mike Kelly for the Braves, Luis Soho for the Mariners, Steve Onaveros for the Athletics, Mike James, Angels, Sammy Sosa for the Cubbies, Mike Matheny for the Brewers, Pete Shurik, Reds, Dennis Martinez for the Indians. Orlando Palmeiro for the Angels. That's our Tiffany. Tomorrow's Legends, Garrett Anderson for the Angels. We got Ruben Sierra for the Yankees. Matt Lawton, Twins. Todd Stottlemyre, Athletics. Deion Sanders for the Giants. Derek May, Astros. Mark Newfield for the Padres. Jesus Tavares for the Marlins. Ramon Martinez, Dodgers. Gene Shaw for Philly. Hope we pull one of the in the zones. Mike Williams for Philly is the Tiffany. And we got another King Griffey, which has better foil this time. Postseason glory. Donnie Wall, Astros. Charles Johnson, Marlins. Xavier Hernandez for the Reds. Chipper Jones for the Braves. Otis Nixon, Rangers. Jose Herrera for the Athletics. Palmeiro for the Orioles. Mark Leiter, Giants. Brian Jordan, Cardinals. Almost to the halfway point. Jim Thome, Tiffany. And Barry Bonds Lumber Company for the Giants. Nice. Brian Rekar for the Rockies. Greg Maddux for the Braves. Dave Malecki, Mets. Tom Goodwin, Royals. Albert Bell, Indians. Chili Davis, Angels. Armando Benitez, Orioles. Joe Girardi, Yankees. And a Mike Fetters for the Brewers. This time it jumps to the insert first. And it is Micah Franklin for the Pirates. And then we have Carlos Reyes for the Tiffany. It goes to the Athletics. Dan Wilson, Mariners. Eddie Perez. He does not have a lot of cards. Bob Walcott for the Mariners. Wally Joyner, Royals. Kenny Lofton, Indians. Mike Harkey, Angels. Jimmy Haynes, Orioles. Don Mattingly for the Yankees. And Pat Listash, Brewers. John Patterson is the Tiffany. Goes to the Giants. Smoking Heat, Randy Johnson for the Mariners. Craig Biggio, the Astros. Dante Bichette, Rockies. Larry Kazan, Cubs. Tony Castillo, Jays. Kevin Tapini, Dodgers. Jerry Brown, Marlins. Jeff Brantley, Reds. Jeff Blauser, Braves. Benji Gill, Rangers. All right. Yes, Eddie Perez was pretty much Greg Maddox's catcher. And then more recently, Eddie was the one that got in. Well, it's kind of stupid. He kind of got into it with Jazz Chisholm. He was pointing at his head. Eddie was pointing at his head in the dugout, and Jazz Chisholm just went bonkers thinking he was saying something else. But basically, he was like, use your head, be smarter than that, dude. Jeff Kent is the for the Mets is the Tiffany. Oh, come on. Postseason glory, another Orel Hershiser. Keith Lockhart for the Royals. For the Jays, Norberto Martin, or Martin probably, for the White Sox. Russ Davis for the Mariners. Brad Radke for the Twins. Tim Naring, Red Sox. Mike Hubbard for the Giants. Jose Lima, Tigers. So we are halfway through, guys. Drink of water here. Oh, good, Victor. Glad you got a card you needed. Did you need that Pettit Tiffany that we got? Kurt Abbott, Marlins is the Tiffany. Another Ruben Rivera. Oh, a chipper checklist. Nice. I don't think I have that one. Felix Furman, Mariners. Rich Robertson, Twins. Aaron Seeley, Red Sox. Randy Myers, Cubs. Brian Maxey, Tigers. Darren Lewis for the Reds. Eric Plunk for the Indians. It's a perfect last name for a pitcher. And Joe Vitello. I don't remember how you pronounce it. Royals. And our resident Royals super fan is not here tonight. He is actually he texted me earlier, he's at the Tigers and Royals game tonight, which more entertaining than this. Roger Bailey for the Rockies is the parallel. Tomorrow's Legends, Hideo Nomo for the Dodgers. Nice. Alan Watson, Cardinals. Jim Doherty, Astros. Vinny Castilla for the Rockies. Sean Dunston, Cubs. Tim Crabtree, Jays. Todd Worrell, Dodgers. Greg Colburn, Marlins. Hector Carrasco, for the Reds. Brad Klontz for the Braves. Brett Boone, Tiffany, Reds. Frank Thomas, Golden Memories, the White Sox. Melito Perez, Yanks. Ron Coomer, Twins. Ariel Prieto for the A's. Terry Mulholland, Giants. Shane Reynolds, Astros. Bip Roberts, Padres. Randy Varez, Marlins. Antonio Ozuna for the Dodgers. And Kevin Stalker for Philly. Scott Bullitt, Tiffany, Cubs. Golden Memories, Ramon Martinez for the Dodgers. Mike Mussina for the Orioles. Sean Estes, Giants. Bernard Gilkey, Cardinals. Sid Fernandez, Philly. Darren Fletcher, Expos. Mickey Tettleton for the Tigers, for the Rangers. Steve Finley for the Padres. John Eriks, Pirates, and John Franco for the Mets. Let's see another lumber company. Steve Avery, Tiffany, nice. Gil Veras, rookie sensation for the Marlins. Chris Hoyles, Orioles. Rod Beck, Giants. Alan Battle, Cardinals. Howard Battle, Philly. Moises Alou, the Expos. Mike Pagliaro, Rangers. Andy Bell for the Pirates. Eduardo for the Mets. Roberto Alomar for the Jays, Tiffany. There's a lumber company, Dante Bichette. Bichette happens. John Smoltz for the Braves. Eric Young, Rockies. Lee Smith, Angels. Jose Valentin, Brewers. John Wetland, Yankees. Pedro Munoz for the Twins. John Wasden for the A's. Sergio Valdez for the Giants. Todd Jones, Astros. Yeah, Johnny, there's been several, same here, where I'm like, I don't remember them playing for that team. Roger Cedeno, prospect for the Dodgers. Will Clark is the Tiffany, Rangers. And another bonus checklist, King Griffey. Mike Timlin for the Jays. Larry Thomas, White Sox. Bill Risley, Mariners. Doug Jones, Athletics. Mo Vaughn, Red Sox. Ryan Sandberg for the Cubs. Norberto Martin, White Sox. Russ Davis, Mariners. Rich Amaral, Mariners. There's the Tiffany. Smoking Heat. Greg Maddux for the Braves. Rusty Greer, Rangers. Dennis Eckersley, Athletics. Ben McDonald, Orioles. Mark Carrion, Giants. Trip Cromer, Cardinals. Lenny Dykstra, Philly. Will Cordero, Expos. Kenny Rogers, Rangers. And Andujar Cedeno, Padres. All right, down to our last packs. Still looking for that in the zone, or zone, excuse me. We've only seen one Road Warriors. Mark Aker is the Tiffany for the Athletics. Another Tom Glavine postseason glory. T.J. Matthews, Cardinals. Dan Plesac for the Pirates. John Vanderwall, Rockies. Charlie O'Brien, Braves. Speaking of Braves catchers. Jose Vizcaíno for the Mets. Jason Chacon, Royals. Ken Hill, Indians. Todd Green, Angels. Jeffrey Hammonds for the Orioles. Ooh, we got a Kirby Puckett Tiffany. Nice. We'll sleeve that one. Sean Green is the rookie sensation for the Blue Jays. Got a Delano DeShields for the Dodgers. Mike Greenwell, Red Sox. Jay Buhner, Mariners. Jason Schmidt for the Braves. Walt Weiss for the Rockies. Probably the next Braves skipper, if I would be a betting man. Tim Salmon for the Angels. B.J. Surhoff for the Brewers. Darryl Strawberry as a Yankee. Still is an odd look for me. Paul Molitor for the Twins, even though he is in a Jays uniform. So speaking about players and playing for teams that you forgot about or whatever, what is more weird, seeing Frank Thomas as a Blue Jay or a A's player, or seeing Ken Griffey Jr. as a White Sox? What's more? What stands out more to you? Frank Thomas as a Athletic or even a Blue Jay, or Ken Griffey playing for the White Sox, or is it about the same? Yeah, Johnny, I don't know enough about Walt Weiss and his coaching ability to know if making him the next Brave skipper is a good choice or not. So, you know. Hey, look at that, Victor. You got the Don Mattingly base that you needed. Now you have the Tiffany. Tomorrow Legends. Charles Johnson for the Fish. Billy Ashley, Dodgers. Rick Aguilera for the Red Sox. Rich Amaral, Mariners. Paul Sorrento, Indians. Ozzie Timmons, Cubs. Mark Langston, Angels. Matt Masecki for the Brewers. Paul O'Neill for the Yankees. And Rich Becker for the Twins. So Johnny thinks Griffey as a White Sox stands out a little more. Or, yeah, Mike Piazza with Oakland. Yeah, I completely forgot he went out to the Bay. Wally Joyner, Tiffany for the Royals. Here's another Road Warrior, Manny Ramirez for Cleveland. Brian Johnson, Padres. Terry Pendleton, Marlins. Todd Hollandsworth, Dodgers. Tom Marsh, Philly. Mark Petco, let's see, Petco's sick. I don't know. Probably butchered that. The Cardinals. Al Martin, Pirates. Steve Reed, Rockies. Hey, Javi Lopez for the Braves. And a Jeff Kent for the Mets. Manny played for the Rays. Well, here's my nugget of info tonight. Pat Listash, Tiffany for the Brewers. Hey, we got the 4th postseason glory, 4 of 5 now. Game-winning homers, Jim Thome for the Indians. Or excuse me, for Cleveland. And a Barry Bonds checklist for the Giants. Brad Radke for the Twins. Tim Naring, Red Sox. Mike Hubbard, Cubs. Jose Lima, Tigers. Mike Jackson for the Reds. Manny Ramirez for the Yankees. Mike Lansing, Expos. We have, including this pack, we have 4 to go. Kenny Lofton, Tiffany for the Indians. And look at that. We got a zone. We beat the odds. Nice. Edgar Martinez. Look at that. I love these. You know, it's not super, like, I don't know. I just like them. Just a kid in me. 12 of that in the set. I don't know. I haven't looked those up in so long. I'd be curious to see what they go for. I'm sure they're just a couple bucks for most players, but Midre Cummings for the Pirates. Paul Bird for the Mets. I don't know if I have that one for my Bird collection. Might have to hit up Andrew, see if he's attached to that, see if I can grease his palms for it. Juan Castro for the Dodgers. Roger Clemens for the Sox. Chris Bosio, Mariners. Dave Winfield for the Indians. Eddie Taubensee for the Reds. And Troy Percival, Angels. Kevin Seitzer for the Brewers. Braves should have never got rid of him as their batting coach. Manny played with Tampa 5 games at the end of his career. He went 1-17 and retired. Little fun fact: Ryan Howard, the Phillies bomber, signed a minor league deal with the Braves, but never played a game for the Braves. Tony Clark is the prospect for Detroit. Mark Lewis, Tigers, is the Tiffany parallel. Tino Martinez for the Yankees. Mark Kiefer, Brewers. Bobby Higginson for the Tigers. Matt Karchner for the White Sox. Fernando Valenzuela for the Padres. Mike Hampton, Astros. Kurt Leskanic for the Rockies. Mark Grace, Cubs. Juan Guzman for the Jays. Ron Howard did the same thing with the Rockies. Wow. Didn't know that either. Yeah, when the Braves brought Seitzer on as the batting coach, I started to, kind of read up a little bit more on him, on his career. Started a little PC of his. He played when didn't have a lot of flashy baseball cards, so it's kind of fun picking up cards that I didn't have many from. So haven't done much with that little PC, but yeah, very very underrated player. Had a good career. Mike Harkey is the Tiffany. Goes to the Angels. Got us another smoking heat. This time it is Kevin Apier for the Royals. Todd Van Poppel for the Athletics. Thank God the Braves didn't draft him. Robbie Thompson for the Giants. Daryl Kyle for the Astros. Mark Kroon for the Padres. Pat Rapp, Marlins. Eric Karros, Dodgers. Michael Mims for Philly. Tom Pagnozzi, Cardinals. Orlando Merced for the Pirates. Yes, Victor, the Mariners have done quite well tonight. Ron Karkovice, the White Sox, is our Tiffany parallel, and another Roger Cedeno prospect. Craig Paquette, Athletics. David McCarty, Giants. Greg Swindell, Astros. Scott Sanders for the Padres. Devon White for the Marlins. Chan-Ho Park for the Dodgers. Randy Van Slyke as a Philly. Wow. Don't remember that. John Mabry as the Cardinals, and Don Slaught for the Pirates. And that wraps up this break. That's the statement of the, yes, Johnny, statement of the night. Getting Todd Van Poppel getting drafted by the Braves may have changed the entire decade for the 90s for the Braves. That's that's a no doubter. So we actually got some pretty good Tiffany's tonight. Nice parallels to begin with. And then we got a nice assortment of the inserts. We got something from every set. Prospects, Smoking Heat, Checklist, Postseason Glory. So we had 2 different cards of the Road Warriors. Tomorrow's Legends, Rookie Sensation, a couple of lumber companies, which are the retail exclusives, Golden Memories, and then of course we did beat the odds. It was a 1 in 90, I think it was 1 in 90. So we got the Zone Edgar Martinez, but and then we got a couple of Griffies I've got here off the side because I'm going to send a picture to Mr. Campbell tonight. Show him what his $6 got him for in tonight's break. But I will work on getting these penny sleeved, and I still have I've got 2 weeks worth now, 3 to sort. But we're going to take a little break so I can recharge my batteries, and also, more importantly, source for some new product. We've been stuck in the 90s for the last couple of weeks, and it's been fun, but I'd like to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to do my best to try to pick up a few things. I need to get back up to my honey hole, see if they've mixed up the options. You may see another football pop up in the near future as football season. Well, college has already started, but yeah, I don't have a time frame of when I'll be back, but of course, just keep checking the group. I'll make sure to post comments. But if you are ready to ship, just give me a week or at least this week coming up to sort. I'm going to try to take some time since we have a 3-day weekend to get some stuff sorted. Because I do have one package pretty much ready to go that someone's requested. But if you're ready to ship, just let me know, and I'll go ahead and put your name on the list. So once everything's been sorted, I can get those ready to go. I do have some new shipping boxes, so it should be good to go there. If anybody is a fan of minor league baseball, specifically the Kansas Royals, I'm hoping to get to the final regular season game of the Columbia Fireflies, the single A affiliate. The last couple of games I've been to, they didn't have team sets yet, but they told me a couple of weeks, and it's been more than that since I've been there. So I'm going to try to get up to the final game on Sunday afternoon with my family. So if anybody wants a team set, I will pick one of those up for you. So I will let you know. Just keep I'll probably post something in the group, and if that's something you want, you can just respond and let me know. But otherwise, I will try to get back as soon as I can. I just need to find some stuff for us to break. Johnny says, if you find anything from the 2010s, try that. We don't have much, or we don't do much from that. Yeah, I would agree. So, yep, I will see what I can find. But in the meantime, thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for the support. And I will be back as soon as I can with some more stuff. But in the meantime, let me know if you're ready to ship, and I'll work on that. But have a great Labor Day weekend, guys. Don't labor too much. And we'll catch you back here again soon. Take care.